From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2401, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Our top story this week comes from northern India, where amateur radio has been declared a top priority by the government of one state. Officials there plan to heavily subsidize amateur radio stations to ensure they thrive and become a valuable resource.
Officials in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh plan to subsidize as much as 80% of the cost of amateur radio equipment for licensed hams, recognizing amateur radio as a life-saving means of alternative communication during disasters. The announcement by the Himalayan state's chief minister, Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu, was made in the aftermath of a season of deadly landslides and devastating rainstorms. The Prime Minister made the commitment on Monday, October 30th, calling amateur radio, quote, a lifeline when wireline, cell phones and other conventional means of communication fail, end quote. He outlined a strategy in which at least one amateur radio volunteer would be available for emergency response in each of the state subdivisions. Each of the volunteers would maintain radio contact with state and district emergency operation centres. New ham radio clubs will also be established at schools and other educational institutions and can expect to receive government subsidies as well for promoting the training of new amateurs. This is John Williams, VK4JJW.
Late October hurricane activity left responders in the U.S. surprised, especially because these storms were in the Pacific.
A nightmare began for nearly 1 million Mexican citizens and tourists in and around Acapulco when Hurricane Otis suddenly built to a Category 5 hurricane and hit with devastating force on October 25th, leaving at least 46 dead. This storm took many forecasters and emergency personnel by surprise. Bobby Graves, KA5HAV, manager of the Hurricane WatchNet, told AR Newsline that while activating for Norma in the eastern Pacific, the net was twice as busy, as they were also tracking Tropical Storm Tammy in the Atlantic. Graves mentioned that Pacific hurricanes were rare for the West Coast, as most storms travel east to west. While the practices and procedures are the same, the hardest part of Eastern Pacific activations is the shortage of active operators. He is hoping that the recent hurricane activity with Norma and Otis in Mexico may encourage more hams to check in during weather activations. For more information on the Hurricane WatchNet, go to hwn.org. This is Randy Sly, W4XJ.
In New Jersey, an amateur radio operator helped arrange for assistance when nothing else, not even mobile phone service, could get through.
David LaMonica, KD2GIY, was driving in southern New Jersey looking forward to a day of parks on the air when he caught sight of a car that had run off the rain-soaked road. Its front end had been smashed. He could see that the driver's airbag had deployed, and he was concerned that the motorist, an older woman, might be in distress. David told Newsline that this part of the state had no cell service, so calling for help via mobile phone was not an option. That's where the 2-meter radio inside his pickup truck came in handy. He'd programmed it to hit one of the local repeaters in the area where he was visiting, and he also had APRS running in the background. His call was answered by a ham who happened to be a police officer. The officer wasn't in his police car at the time, but relayed the call for help and could pinpoint the accident site by looking at APRS beacon online. An ambulance soon arrived. Dave believes that such experiences need to be shared and told Newsline, videos have always taught me. So the lesson here is in his recorded account of how he made that call for help, and he shares it on YouTube to inspire others to do the same. It can be found on his channel, KD2GIY Ham Radio Fun. Dave told Newsline it's great to have fun on the air, and that day he enjoyed a 6-park Potarove. But the most important contact he logged that day was made on that 2-meter repeater. This is Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With John Williams, VK4JJW, Randy Sly, W4XJ, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.